Okay, imagine this. What if you had like a research assistant that's always on, or a brainstorming buddy who knows pretty much everything? Maybe even a creative partner that could whip up whole new realities.
Sounds a bit sci-fi, doesn't it?
It does, but we might be closer than you think. We seem to be right on the edge of a huge leap in AI.
Yeah, definitely.
So, welcome everyone to the Vulture channel. This is our deep dive format where we really get into the weeds on important topics.
And today we're tackling the next big thing, ChatGPT-5. We've gone through a whole stack of reports, expert takes. What do we got? Kangaroos AI for teachers, Tamides, Canaltech, Quidget, SmartText, exploding topics. Quite a list.
Yep, a good mix. And our mission really is to sift through all that buzz and give you the clearest possible picture. What is ChatGPT-5 supposed to be? When might we actually see it? And, what could it mean for all of us?
Exactly. Cutting through the noise, we want to pull up the key info, the features people are talking about, that tricky release date question, and yeah, the potential ripples across different fields.
Consider this your essential briefing. So let's dive right in. The million-dollar question first.
Right.
When is this thing actually landing?
Right. Well, initially, some sources, like Kangaroos AI, were pointing towards late 2024, maybe early 2025. Seemed plausible at the time.
Okay.
But the more recent stuff, especially looking at exploding topics and SmartText, plus, hints from Sam Altman himself, it lines up more with the fact that GPT 4.5, they called it Orion, internally dropped on February 27th, 2025.
Ah, Orion. I remember that. So that February date is key.
Seems like it. It pushes the thinking more towards mid-2025 for GPT-5. That feels like the more solid bet now.
Mid-2025. Okay, so that fits with what Exploding Topics was saying, like weeks or months after that February date. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And this Orion GPT 4.5, you said it was significant. Something about chain of thought.
Yeah, exactly. Both Canaltech and Exploding Topics picked up on this. Orion, or 4.5, was apparently the last model OpenAI developed without this chain of thought feature fully integrated.
Okay, hold on. Chain of thought. What does that actually mean for GPT-5 then? Is that a big deal?
Oh, it's potentially a very big deal. The fact that 4.5 didn't really have it suggests it's going to be fundamental to GPT-5 and everything after. Think of it like the AI showing its work.
Showing its work, like in math class.
Kind of. So instead of just spitting out an answer, it can lay out the steps, the reasoning it used to get there. Canaltech used the term refletu to reflect, so it's not just what it knows, but how it knows it, or how it figured it out, more transparency.
Right. That makes a huge difference. Understanding the why behind the AI's answer.
Right.
But even with mid-2025 looking likely, Exploding Topics mentioned potential delays.
Yes, and that's super important. OpenAI is being very public about taking safety testing extremely seriously, which they absolutely should be.
Definitely.
With these models getting so powerful, the potential for unintended consequences grows. So that rigorous testing phase, it could absolutely push the timeline back if they find things that need fixing. Safety first.
Okay, so a likely window, but with a very important safety caveat. Got it. Let's switch gears then. What's this thing actually going to do? Kangaroos AI had some interesting points, especially for teachers and education. What stood out there?
Yeah, for education, the big one seemed to be much better contextual awareness, meaning it can hold a conversation for longer, keep track of details, stay coherent over, a really extended interaction. Imagine a teacher discussing a complex novel with the AI.
Oh, wow.
And the AI actually remembers points made, way earlier in the chat. That kind of deep understanding could be massive for learning.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a huge step up. They also mentioned better content generation.
Exactly. More precise, more relevant stuff. So a teacher needing, say, a lesson plan or maybe some materials, they could get something much more accurate and useful.
Like a history teacher needing a summary of some event.
Precisely. A detailed summary, maybe tailored for a specific grade level, historically accurate. That saves a ton of prep time.
Makes sense. And it's not just text, right? I think Kangaroos AI and SmartText both mentioned voice.
Yes. Enhanced voice interaction. Think about being able to just talk to the AI more naturally. A teacher could verbally ask it to summarize something happening in class right then and there.
Less typing, more doing.
Yeah, much smoother integration. And Kangaroos AI also touched on better multilingual abilities. Huge for language teachers, right? Practice conversations in lots of languages.
Okay, so education sees some clear benefits, but SmartText painted an even broader picture, talking about a multimodal evolution. What's that all about?
Multimodal is a key term here. GPT-4 could handle text and, to some extent, images, But GPT-5 is expected to juggle text, images, video, and audio, all pretty seamlessly.
Whoa. So it can understand and work with all those different formats?
That's the idea. You give it text, it analyzes an image and understands your voice command. Maybe it even spits out a video explanation. It's processing information much more like we do.
Okay, that really opens things up. Give me an example. How might that actually work?
Well, SmartText also brought up advanced voice generation. Think more natural, maybe even personalized AI voices. So you could be making a presentation and have GPT-5 generate a really human-sounding voiceover.
Okay, that's cool.
Or think about the larger context windows. They mentioned maybe over 200,000 tokens. That's like feeding it an entire book.
An entire book.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So researchers could analyze huge data sets, writers could edit whole manuscripts inside the AI, and it would theoretically keep track of everything.
That is. Yeah, that's a game changer for anyone dealing with lots of information. What else is on the list of upgrades?
A big push for better factual accuracy, trying to cut down on those hallucinations, when the AI just confidently makes stuff up. That's crucial for trust.
Absolutely critical.
And SmartText also floated the idea of GPT-5 evolving towards autonomous agents.
Autonomous agents,
Yeah.
like it does things on its own.
Potentially. Scheduling your meetings, booking travel, automating complex tasks without you needing to micromanage every step. More proactive.
Huh. It definitely changes how you think about using it.
For sure. And to get there, SmartText and Exploding Topics both stress the need for much broader, more specialized training data. Think proprietary company data, scientific papers, huge code libraries, feeding it more specialized knowledge.
Which explains that native coding assistant thing SmartText mentioned.
Exactly. Deeper integration into coding tools, helping programmers write code, find bugs, maybe even suggest better ways to build software, all right there in their workflow.
Okay. And text to video, you mentioned Sora.
Yeah, so SmartText highlighted the potential link. Imagine typing a description, show me a short animation explaining photosynthesis, and getting a video out of it, powered perhaps by technology like Sora.
Wow. The creative potential there is just
Yeah.
kind of nuts. Okay, something else from Canaltech and Exploding Topics is unification of models. Why does that matter to me as a user?
It mostly means a simpler, smoother experience. Right now, sometimes you have to pick the right GPT model for the job, right? One for creative stuff, one for analysis.
Yes, the drop-down menu.
Exactly. The idea is GPT-5 would just figure it out. It integrates those different strengths, understands what you're trying to do, and uses the best internal engine for the task automatically. No more model switching.
Ah, nice. Less thinking for me, more intuitive AI. I like that. And were they hinting at different levels of smartness, maybe based on subscription?
Seems that way. Canaltech and Exploding Topics suggested free users might get a very capable standard GPT-5, but if you pay for Plus or Pro, you might unlock an even higher level of intelligence, maybe faster responses, or exclusive features like advanced voice or search functions.
Okay, so tiers of capability. Makes sense from a business perspective. All right, so we've got this picture of a much more versatile AI. Let's talk impact. We hit education, but Quidget had a lot on business uses. What stood out?
Yeah, Quidget really focused on business. Customer support was a big one. Imagine GPT-5 handling, say, 80% of routine customer questions automatically. That's potentially huge cost savings.
I bet. They mentioned a wealth management example.
Yeah, projecting millions saved by using advanced AI for customer interactions. It's a powerful motivator for businesses.
No doubt. What about content? Every business needs content.
Absolutely. Quidget sees GPT-5 massively speeding up writing blog posts, marketing copy, SEO stuff. They even cited a stat from August 2024, something like 58% of marketing folks already using AI for SEO. GPT-5 would just pour fuel on that fire.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
More efficiency. What about sales?
Big potential there too, according to Quidget. Things like highly personalized outreach emails, not generic spam. They mentioned data showing personalized emails get opened way more often. AI could help craft those at scale. Plus lead qualification, maybe integrating with CRM systems, making sales teams more effective.
So better targeting, better response rates,
Right.
and staff training.
Yeah, Quidget suggested personalized learning paths. Imagine AI tailoring training content to how each employee learns best, offering interactive scenarios. Much more engaging than just reading a manual.
That sounds way better, yeah.
And for data-heavy businesses, analyzing complex data quickly. Quidget used the example of figuring out why people uninstall an app by crunching through usage data and feedback, finding patterns humans might miss.
Okay, so customer support, content, sales, training, data analysis. What else? Social media, market research.
Yep, Quidget mentioned those too. automating social media posts and responses, analyzing competitor strategies, digging through customer feedback. It really touches a lot of business functions.
It really does seem pervasive.
Yeah.
It's not just business, right? Tamidi's looked even wider.
That's right. Tamidi's brought up healthcare potential for helping diagnose diseases, maybe even designing personalized treatments down the line. Very exciting, though obviously needs careful validation.
Huge implications there.
Also scientific research helping analyze complex experimental data, maybe even suggesting new research directions. And creative fields sparking ideas, speeding up production, finance, city planning. Tamidi saw potential pretty much everywhere for new insights.
It really feels like a foundational shift.
Right.
Okay, so how does this stack up against what we have now? How much better is GPT-5 supposed to be than GPT-4? Tamidi's had thoughts on this.
Yeah, Tamidi's basically said expect a significant jump. Better understanding of language, more nuanced generation, more accurate interaction. They pointed to the scale difference. GPT-3 had, 175 billion parameters?
Something like that, yeah.
GPT-4 is estimated at maybe 10 trillion. The leap to GPT-5 is expected to be similarly massive, maybe even bigger in terms of complexity and capability.
10 trillion.
Yeah.
That's hard to grasp. And that translates directly into better performance.
That's the expectation. Better accuracy, deeper analysis, much better summarization, according to Tamidi's. And remember that quote from Altman that Exploding Topics highlighted?
The one about the difference being as big as between 3 and 4.
That's the one. And he apparently also said GPT-4 kind of sucks compared to what's coming next.
Wow. Okay. Strong words from the CEO. So, Exploding Topics summarized the key differences beyond just raw intelligence.
They did. They pulled together points we've touched on. That merging of models for simplicity, the big leap in multimodality handling images, audio, video, more potential for customization, plus expected gains in just raw speed, power efficiency, and crucially, reliability. Fewer mistakes, fewer hallucinations.
So faster, smarter, more versatile, more reliable, easier to use. Sounds like a pretty comprehensive upgrade.
Seems to be the goal, yeah.
Okay, inevitable question time. With all this power, are we talking AGI? Artificial general intelligence, human-level smarts, exploding topics, and smart techs weighed in.
Right, and the general consensus seems to be no, or at least not yet. While GPT-5 will be incredibly capable, likely the smartest AI we've seen, it's probably not going to be AGI in the sense of having human-like cognition across the board, consciousness, self-awareness, that stuff.
So still a very powerful tool, but not Skynet.
Exactly. Exploding Topics made a good point. The focus should be on the practical improvements, the expanded abilities, what it can do for us, rather than getting hung up on whether it's sentient. It's about enhanced capability, not consciousness.
That's a really important distinction. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. We've covered a lot of ground. What are the absolute key things you think our listeners should take away from this deep dive on ChatGPT-5?
Well, I'd say three main things. One, it's coming. Likely mid-2025, but keep an eye on that safety testing. Two, expect a really significant jump in capabilities that multimodality, the bigger context, better accuracy are huge. And three, the impact could be incredibly broad, touching almost every field you can think of, from how you learn, to how you work, to how businesses operate.
Yeah, absolutely. It underlines why staying on top of these developments is so important now, not just for tech geeks, but really for everyone trying to navigate the future.
For sure. Which brings us maybe to a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on.
Go for it.
Just think about it.
Yeah.
How could these kinds of enhanced AI capabilities, the stuff we've been talking about, specifically reshape your world, your learning, your job, maybe just your hobbies or interests? What doors does this start to open up for you personally?
That's a great question to leave people with.
Sure.
Something to really consider. Well, thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive into the future with ChatGPT-5 here on the Vulture channel.
My pleasure. Always fascinating stuff.
If you found this useful, definitely hit that subscribe button for the channel and the podcast feed. We do these deep dives regularly on topics that matter.
Yeah, don't miss out.
We really appreciate you tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.